Good evening. Thank you all for coming. I'm now calling this meeting to order. Today we have absent, Olga's absent. Vikram is not on yet, right? He's going to be a little late. Jennifer's attending online today. And then all of us are up here. So we'll get started with, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? So moved.
Yes, we approve the agenda as presented.
Is there any further discussion? I move this to a roll call vote, please.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
A.
Penny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Mary Williams,
Aye.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Christy Morgan.
Aye. Motion passes. Moving on to chair comments, I just want to welcome Mary Williams to the board. She represents the city of Vancouver. We're really excited to work with her. And I did ask her ahead of time, so I'm not putting her exactly on the spot if she wanted to introduce herself. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Mary. I'm very excited to be here. I am a librarian by trade, but now I'm a small business owner. I've been a business coach since 2016, and I'm just really excited to be involved in my community and continue to be a librarian in one way, and excited to do my service.
Thank you so much. We're moving on to public comments. As always, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. We'll take 1 hour to hear public comments. No clapping or making noise between speakers, no inappropriate language. Be respectful of one another and remember to direct your comments up to the board. No playing of recordings or videos, and make sure you say your name in the microphone before you begin.
Our first 3 speakers tonight are Quill Onstead, followed by Gary Wilson, followed by Eunice Ingermanson.
Ready when you are. There we go. Hi, my name is Quill Onstead and my pronouns are they, them. I'm here to speak in support of Drag Queen Story Hour as a genderqueer member of the library community. There's an XKCD webcomic about how every day 10,000 people in the US learn something that, quote unquote, everyone knows. Last week, I was one of the lucky 10,000 who learned that May 22nd is Harvey Milk Day. I'm often the youngest person attending these board meetings. Surely, I thought, everyone knows about Harvey Milk. But just in case today is your lucky day, Harvey Milk was one of the first publicly gay elected officials in the US. He was elected to San Francisco City County Supervisor in 1977. In one speech, he said, "We are coming out to fight the lies, the myths, the distortions. We are coming out to tell the truth about gays, for I am tired of the conspiracy of silence, so I'm going to talk about it. And I want you to talk about it. You must come out." Harvey Milk was assassinated in November 1978. His killer was acquitted of murder charges and only served time for manslaughter. It's been 46 years, but people are still answering his call to fight against the lies, myths, and distortions about the LGBTQ+ community. Drag Queen Story Hour is a vital program that teaches kids about gender identity in an age-appropriate manner. Parents who do not approve of Drag Queen Story Hour do not have to bring their children to any Drag Queen Story Hour programs. Please allow the staff of FVRL libraries to present Drag Queen Story Hour and have the district live up to the ideals espoused in FVRL Library's equity statement. Thank you for your service to the community.
Gary Wilson. As always, thank you, board members, for your service. And once again, just please continue to err on the side of caution when it comes to your most vulnerable patrons, the children. Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, board. My name is Eunice Ingermanson, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a card-carrying member of FVRL. Until just a few weeks ago, whenever I went on your website, I was happy to regularly find an article about your stance against book censorship and occasional programming on LGBTQ issues. But today, so close to the Pride Month, I'm seeing nothing on your website about LGBTQ affirming books or programs, and that makes me sad. I would like you to notice some very recently published statistics. One, a Gallup article published in March 13 of this year said that among the Gen Z adults, 1 in 5 identified as LGBTQ+. 2, the 2023 Healthy Youth Survey results show that up to 29.4% of 8th graders in our state identified as LGBTQ+. Our LGBTQ young people need books and resources, and their families need a safe space with resources to help them navigate the new landscape of supporting their children and loved ones in their full identities. I believe this is an important part of your vision of empowering everyone to succeed and your values of inclusion, collaboration, and access. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We still have time in our hour. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Thank you all. I'm closing public comment section of the meeting. Is there a motion to adopt the May 20th consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Any further discussion? I move this to a roll call vote, please.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
Mary Williams,
Aye.
Penny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Marianne Duncan Cole,
Aye.
and Christy Morgan.
Aye, the motion passes. Moving on to reports, we'll start with FVRL organizational report with Jennifer Giltrop.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. I'm joining you today from Los Angeles, where I'm attending the Urban Libraries Council CEO Roundtable. And the topic of the session is really on serving our customers without homes. And so it's a topic that certainly rings true to many of our customers that we serve, and lots of idea sharing about how libraries engage to provide lots of different resources to really help lift those customers in need. So I'll be excited to share more about that when I return. You have the operational highlights in your packet. You can certainly see we've had great programming going on, but just a couple things that I want to point out is that Three Creeks Library that had a car run into it in January has now been repaired. That repair was just over $22,000, which our insurance did cover all but our $5,000 deductible. So that's good news. And also unrelated to the car running into the building, we have had several issues over the years with that building having water intrusion into the staff area. And that's due to the fact that the building is built on top of an aquifer. And so a new swell was put in, and some testing, pressure testing was done. Dave can give you all those great details. But what we believe is that we have finally, after years, solved that issue. So keep your fingers crossed that that's the case. And we'll be able to put that building back together in a way that it hasn't been in some time. So we're happy about that. Also in April, the Woodland, the foundation and the Woodland Friends held the last Love Your Library event, which was a fundraiser for our new Woodland Library. And that event raised over $35,000 this year. And I want to thank Marie and Christy for attending that event and supporting it as well. It's unbelievable to me, and I'm very thankful for how hard the Friends of the Library and the foundation work to really pull off such a wonderful event to raise money for that building. And that's what they've done for many years. But this was the 5th and best year of that event. So I was happy to participate in that. Also, last week, the La Center Community Library celebrated its 20th anniversary with hundreds of people and Jack the alpaca visiting the library. Lots of great times, great weather, a beautiful jazz band that played out on the lawn. And thank you to Marie and Penny also for attending that event. The Friends of the Library of La Center wanted me to know they are the best friends of the library, and I would say they were really good friends. We've got best friends all over our communities, and we're very thankful for all they do for our libraries. In the statistics for April, our visitor count is up by 7.44% year over year, while circulation is up 3.94%. We also have grown our cardholder rate by 2% since December. So that's a number we're paying very close attention to and certainly want to see that grow even more. But I'm thrilled to see it growing steadily with over 2,500 new cards issued in April. Any questions on the report this month?
Yes, with the new cards, how many of those are young people? Do you know? Have you got that cut?
I don't have that. I can certainly get that for you.
It would be 18 and under.
Yep. Well, I'll get that for you. Other questions?
There are no further questions. I thought you had more to go. Are you wrapped up?
That's it.
Great. Thank you so much for coming on virtually when you're out of town. I really appreciate it. Next, we have Stevenson Branch Report with David Wyatt.
Hello, board. All right. Hi. So I'm David Wyatt. I'm the branch manager for Stevenson, North Bonneville, and the Skamania County Bookmobile. So this library services those 3 different points with 8 dedicated staff. That's 6.8 FTE, and 3 of those regularly drive the bookmobile. Is that not? Okay. There we go. So 8 dedicated staff. If you click, that'll show. Good. There we go. There's the 8 dedicated staff.
three of which drive the bookmobile. And then click again. Then we also have 8 flexible substitutes from across Skamania and Klickitat to help cover when we are sick or on vacation and all that good stuff. Across those 3 service points, we have approximately 68 public service hours. That's slightly more public service hours than the Vancouver Library has, being open 7 days a week. So we have a small but mighty crew that cover all of that. And it's quite a large area. We cover all of Skamania, but then also the bookmobile will venture up into some of Western Klickitat, visiting Glenwood and Trout Lake, and also occasionally into White Salmon. So just a sense, we're a very large area with not a ton of people, about 12,000 people in the whole county, which some numbers of 7.3 inhabitants per square mile. So we're the lowest population density of the whole service area for the library district. That's why the bookmobile is so important to get out and about. We spend about 25 hours a week on the road, and a third of the routes are in Carson. That's the largest population center for the county that does not have a brick and mortar library location. The other location, the brick and mortar in North Bonneville, is the fastest growing population center out here. According to the 2020 census, between 2010 and 2020, it grew 30%. And the projected growth from there on out is down into single digits, but it's still the most of any of the population centers out here. We have a fantastic Friends of the Library group. I don't know, they might have to go toe to toe with the center. One of their large events for the year is Artists of the Gorge. So it's a juried art exhibit for everybody, artists in the gorge. They have a large reception every year, and it's a big fundraiser for them as well. So on the right-hand side, that's the top right is an image of some of the artists and other community members attending the opening reception in this space filled with local art. And then the lower right is an image of upstairs when we converted into a space for the silent auction and all of that. And then lower left, the Friends do lots out in the community, one of which was being invited to decorate a Christmas tree on the courthouse lawn for Christmas in the Gorge. So they decorated it. It's a little hard to tell in that image. It's just a lot of glowing green, but it's decorated with a bunch of laminated coloring books for kids that then at one of our larger events, at craft events at the library that Saturday, they had free giveaway books for the kids. All right, so yeah, 3 service points out here. So this is the Stevenson Community Library. It was originally founded by the Stevenson's Women's Club. Its first purpose-built building was opened in 1938. So that's the picture at the top. And if you go that way and take a left, it is a farmer's insurance office now. Let's see here. The current library was built almost 60 years ago and was last remodeled in 2017. So breaking down those service hours, this is the most service hours of any of our locations at 48 hours per week for Monday through Saturday. Circulation numbers and visits. And then Jennifer was mentioning residents with library accounts. Stevenson City residents are the highest rate in the district at 56.8%. Then there's the Skamania County Bookmobile. So we have a video playing. That's just me walking around the outside of it at one of our school stops, so you can kind of see what it's like. Those two images to the top are some older bookmobiles in the district. The one in the upper right, the woman on the left is Eva Santee, our first executive director. So yeah, we spend a lot of time driving to the places that we're going to. So we're on the road 4 days a week, but that's about 14 hours of service to the public. Circulation numbers. I did a little bit of math and came up with this 10 checkouts handled by staff per hour. What that means is that the bookmobile, as you can see, is a pretty confined space. We have one staff member there, and then a second as well. But that's it. In most of the branches, you have checkout stations and catalog computers and all of these options for patrons to serve themselves. And you don't have that in the bookmobile. Everything that gets checked out on the bookmobile is being handled by staff. And so that number is the amount of circulation that we have, the number of hours that we're open, and then the percentage of our checkouts that are done by staff. So for example, Battleground has about that same rate of checkouts per hour handled by staff, but 88% of their checkouts are done through the self-check. So they have a lot more materials that they're moving, but a lot more staff and a lot more options for patrons. So we keep busy. The residents with library accounts for the unincorporated area of Skamania is almost 26%, which is about where the district is on average. Then we have our other brick and mortar location of North Bonneville. That was opened in 1954 in the City Hall in North Bonneville before it moved. And we moved with it to the City Hall in 1979 when the second powerhouse was built for the Bonneville Dam. And the original town location was flooded. So that location, we are currently only open 6 hours per week. You can see the circulation and the visits are substantially lower. And our residents with library accounts are a little bit higher than the average for the district, but not much. Because of those limited hours and the way that it's set up there, most of the circulation is through holds that people come and pick up. If you click one more time, that lower picture, you can see the lobby. So that's open whenever City Hall is open. So patrons can copy, use the copy machine, print things. And then there's also the little lending library, which is essentially a vending machine for books. So, yeah. And then one of our popular programming series that I mentioned before is our Winter Craft program. So we have about four crafting events spread out over November, December, and January. And across those events, we had about 300 participants. That's a significant increase over the previous series where it was just over 200. That top picture on the left is Kim Puckett. She's from Community Art Studio of Skamania. So she hosted the very last one of the series, which was making those adorable sock gnomes. And it's just one of those series that has been an ongoing tradition out here, and we just try to, modify it a bit so it works better going forward. It used to be something that was on a weekday, and we'd had a couple of sessions, afternoon and an evening, and then we just turned it into a drop-in on a Saturday, and there was a lot less hassle for staff and much more accessible to patrons as well. So And then something cool that happened over the last year and was completely surprising to me was that 4 local students from Carson Elementary went to a Jeff Kinney Diary of a Wimpy Kid author event in Portland. And the author event was set up kind of like a game show. So kids would get called up on stage and they'd have to compete for prizes. The prizes were donations to their local library. So these 4 kids, and they didn't even all go there together. And from their telling of it, it sounded like maybe a
Not
dozen
that
kids.
they're doing things in a different order.
Can those of you online please mute yourselves? Thank you.
Stop those uppity workers from.
Maybe.
Okay. So maybe a dozen kids competed and 4 of them were from Carson Elementary, which was awesome. And they won $1,100 in donations for Stevenson. So that's going to go into some of our summer programming this year. And it's just really awesome. On the right-hand side, you can see the kids. And then on the left-hand side, they came and I write articles for the local paper about what's going on at the library. So I interviewed the kids for the article in the newspaper. And that's it. Any questions?
Your stats for. 58%.
Cardholder rate?
Yeah. What do you
Mhm.
attribute that to? Good job.
Well, I mean, we have, it can be a challenge to run a bookmobile and have everything else. But the bookmobile is a big blue billboard for library services. So I think that helps. We're also a tight-knit small community. So, you know, everybody leans on everybody else. And the library has a lot of things that just aren't available anywhere else out here. Also, I will mention that Stevenson's #1, but Goldendale and White Salmon are 2 and 3. I just don't remember what order they're in. White Salmon is 2. And it's all around that 50% range.
Thank you so much. I love your video of the bookmobile. I cannot believe how much you have in there. That's really impressive. Thank you for taking that.
Yeah, of course.
What the roads are like in January in the bookmobile.
Well, you know, if it's too slippery, we don't go out.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Next is March financial statements with Katrina.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. Katrina Gallup, Finance Director for Fort Vancouver Regional Library. We are covering the March financials, as Christy said. I'm going to first cover the statement of cash, and there's a few other tidbits that I throw in when I talk about cash. Our cash balance in March, you will see decreased an additional 1.3 million over our February decrease. This has us at a year-to-date through March decrease of 5.3 million, which represents the net impact of expenditures through March being at 7.8 million, which is ahead of our 2.5 million revenues. This is always to be expected with the timing of our main revenue stream being property taxes. We will see an influx of property taxes in the April financials. And in addition, in May, we're going to see some of the grant revenues coming in for the Woodland project. Our year-to-date expenses are currently exceeding revenues through March at a 2.5 to 1 capacity. This is an improvement over January and February, though. We are not within the operating reserve target of 60 to 90 days of our annual operating budget at this point. we were at the beginning of the year. However, with our property taxes coming in April and October, we will always see a decrease in that reserve balance before we see an influx of revenues in April. You will also see an adjustment for the accrued expenditures of $61,000 on the statement of cash. This represents expenditures that are being paid now from previously incurred. We will hold on to accounts payable and not make the payments until certain requirements are met, such as L&I releases. So that 61,000 represents expenditures that were previously reported, but the cash was just released. Moving on to our statement of revenues. Again, our property taxes and other taxes is our primary source of revenues, representing 87% of our total revenues budget. April and October are our heavy receiving months for these revenues. In March, 77% of our revenues, the 2.2 million year-to-date property tax, were received in March. So sorry, year-to-date, we've received just over 2.2 million and 77% of that was received in March. We've also realized 43% of other taxes through March. And we have some charges for services that we've received that are slightly over budget, being at 35% and budget being at 25% through March. For our miscellaneous revenues, we bill for friends reimbursements. We've talked about how amazing our friends are working hard for the different groups. So we will incur expenditures and then the friends will reimburse us for that. So we have some miscellaneous revenues from that, as well as foundation reimbursement. Through April, we have invoiced the foundation for operational reimbursements of just over $14,000. The last thing I will talk about on our statement of revenue is our interest revenue. It continues to be above target at 33%. This is positive and means that we might end the year above our target, especially since we always realize lower investment revenues as our cash balance is decreasing. Moving on to the statement of expenses. Being through March, we would expect most of our expenses to be at 25% of the budget. So that is the target measure that we measure this against. Areas to note through March, we always look at payroll and benefits as it's our largest expenditure, operating expenditure, and those are at 23%, so just under budget slightly. Our supplies are also under budget, coming in at 20%. The only line item under supplies exceeding the 25% budget target is professional collection and technology. This has to do with some software renewals happening in January and March. In other charges and services, these continue overall to be under budget at 21%. Our professional service budget of about 2 million has expended 188,000 in March, with custodial services being 77% of this. Our travel and training is slightly high based on some 2023 expenditures that got paid in 2024, as well as a contract that was heavy front loaded for 2024. Our repairs and maintenance remain slightly over budget at 29%, so about 4% over budget year to date. This has to do with some HVAC work in March for repair here in Stevenson, as well as some releases of L&I for other projects. Our capital, our main project is in Woodland, and right now we've paid 1.2 million through March on our Woodland Library project. And our other capital has about $25,000 worth of expenditures. There were two different things. There was a lighting project at the Op Center as well as a pavement project in the center that represents that amount. Any questions?
Thank you so much. Is there a motion to receive and file the March financial statements as presented?
So moved. I'll second.
Any further discussion? I move this to a roll call vote, please.
Marion Duncan Cole,
Aye.
Penny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Vikram Kotwani,
Aye.
Marion Williams,
Aye.
Marie Coffey,
Aye.
and Christy Morgan.
Aye, motion passes. Up for the business portion of our meeting, we have Facilities and Finance Committee, the Port of Ridgefield Tax Increment Area Resolution information.
Christy, you missed a presentation.
Did I skip someone? Oh, I'm so sorry. 2024 Summer at Your Library with Kelsey. Sorry about that. Come on up.
A little shorter than David. So is everybody able to hear me? Yay. So I am Kelsey Hudson. I am one of the program and outreach coordinators for youth here at the Fort Vancouver Libraries, and Summer at Your Library is one of my big projects every year. I help coordinate this, but I work with staff and staff and partners from around the library district to help make this happen every year. And so I'm happy to share a little bit about what we're going to be doing for 2024. So we always start Summer at Your Library with some goals, and these are often based on our mission and our vision, our statements here, but also on the idea that especially for youth, we know that if we can keep kids engaged, it's another step forward in just helping keep things ready for the fall. We know that summer slide is a huge thing and libraries are not able to necessarily fix that, but if everybody's working together, it's a really great thing. However, we do Summer at Your Library for all ages because we know for adults as well that there is absolutely a huge benefit to reading, learning, exploring, and creating as well. So we work to put together these goals that are really about bringing people into the library, bringing things out to them, and about trying to reach kids who maybe need the greatest support during the summer wherever we possibly can. So for us, Summer at Your Library is kind of three pieces. We've done this one with the challenge, which is probably what a lot of people think of when they think of summer reading. It's that thing you get a check off, and that is absolutely one key piece of it. We'll talk a little bit about what in particular we do here, but we always have the read and learn and create and explore, and that encouragement to just be engaged all summer long. Equally important and also in support of that challenge goal, though, are the programs and outreach. And so that's how we get people into the library, get them engaged, get them learning, get them doing some hands-on educational programs, checking out the creature feature that's happening in the libraries, and also how we work with our community partners to get things out into our community to kids and families where they're at. And so we'll talk a little bit about each of those. Numbers don't tell the whole story, but it is a huge part of how we plan. So I figured I'd start with some 2023 numbers to give you kind of an idea of how we ended things last year and what we based our plans on for this year. So in 2023, we had a little over 10,000 challenge participants. This is from babies on up to our elderly folks. It's everybody in between, and it's actually a rise of over 20% from 2022. We're kind of still in recovery mode for Summer at Your Library from COVID, but we're really excited to see those numbers grow and hoping for that again.
Challenge participants.
Challenge participants is the folks that actually participate in the summer reading challenge, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So that is anybody that says, you know what, I'm actually going to try and read for 30 days and do all the things. So it is that kind of traditional summer reading idea. In addition to those participants, though, we also held over 700 programs between June and August inside of our libraries last year. So this was everything from the taiko drummers to OMSI and everybody in between. And we were really happy to see over 11,000 people join us for those programs. In addition to those things that happened in our library, though, we also were able to reach over 2,200 children through targeted outreach. So this includes free summer meal sites, summer schools, boys and girls clubs, all of those things where we really, might be reaching some of those kids who don't have the ability to get to us. And that is a really fantastic thing to do. here out in the gorge. That might also be through the bookmobile. And so it's another great way for us to, again, just connect with those kids who can't come to us. And oftentimes that's by working with community partners. So we worked with at least 17. I put the plus because it quite likely is more than that, but at least 17 partners at 30 different sites. And the really great thing about these outreach efforts is they reach far beyond the summer. It's a really great way for us to connect and help work with these partners in this time where they really need that need, but we often see the rewards come back to us throughout the rest of the year as well. So for 2024, we don't have necessarily a participation number yet because we've just begun to kick things off with promoting and getting ready for it. But we do know that we've had participation from every single library branch throughout our service area. We have so many different departments at the operations centers that have been roped into this, the Library Foundation, of course. We've got oodles and oodles of people joining us throughout our staff and our foundation. In addition to this, we've only just begun the tip of the iceberg for volunteer hours for summer, but over the course of just 2 days in April, we had over 115 volunteer hours from 2 business groups that came in and helped us prep over 6,800 incentive books, get program supplies prepped for over 90 different programs, and even who subjected themselves to our teen escape room and were able to successfully escape the Kraken. Might have taken them a little bit longer, but they were really gracious guinea pigs for us. And then we've also worked to get over 300 grand prize pieces purchased in this time. And so we were right at that time where we're still wrapping up a little bit of our planning, but we're also leaping in as well. So for patrons, we really do have kind of 4 summer goals, and this ties into that challenge piece of it in particular. And so this is where we really want them to read for 30 days over the course of the summer. We're a library, so of course, reading is still the core of what we do here. But we also want them to learn, create, and explore something as well. Reading is incredibly important. We want to build a reading habit that's daily. So you'll notice it's not just read a certain amount of books or read a certain amount of minutes. We want people to set a goal and kind of read and feel like reading is the prize that they've gotten. And so, they've read a really good book. They've built that reading habit that they're going to keep forever. But we also want them to get out and explore their neighborhood, create something, learn something new. And they might be able to do that themselves, or they might join us at the library to do it as well. And we also work really, really hard to emphasize that all reading counts. We want, like I said, reading to be the goal. We want people to think of reading as this really amazing thing, because it is. And so if they like reading graphic novels or magazines or newspapers, go for it. If they like reading murder mysteries or Punky Aloha, the best picture book I found recently, go for it. Or if they like to listen to audiobooks, amazing. Our Summer at Your Library Challenge is truly for all ages. So the other part of this is encouraging folks to recognize that if they're being read to, or if they're reading to early learners, for example, they absolutely going to count that, because it does count. And what's better is if they're reading a book to their little kiddo, they both get counted, the early learners and the adults. You got to kind of check off a day. They're all reading together. That's great. So while we do acknowledge that reading is absolutely the best prize you can have, we do know that, prizes can sometimes help people be encouraged to participate. So one thing we started last year, I've been told we actually restarted it after many years, was grand prize baskets at all of our libraries. So we have grand prize baskets for all ages this year, one for early learners, kids, teens, and adults, and every single library has those. We have 60 prize baskets. So that's where all of those grand prize pieces went to. For adults, we've got an Amazon gift card and a great Sasquatch mug and a bibliophile reading journal so they can keep track of all the stuff they've been reading. And for kids, we went a little bit more. And we really sought to put together some things that would help support those Summer at Your Library goals, but also be really kind of fun and exciting for kids to try and aim for. So for kids, that's going to be some high interest books, ones that might be a little bit newer, a little bit more expensive than we could provide for everybody as part of a general incentive. It's going to include some sort of hands-on activity or craft, usually a game, because that encourages that togetherness and that learning something new together. And then because everybody really loves them and they make a really great reading buddy, a Squishmallow, of course. My personal favorite is the Marshmallow. I call him Fun Guy because, he's a fun guy. But anyway, and then for our teens, we actually did tuck an Amazon gift card in there as well, because we know at that age, being able to have a little bit of ownership over your prize is kind of an important piece. And we thought they would really appreciate that. So So as I said, programs is kind of one of those three pieces that we use to really help support our challenge and really help give people a lot of opportunities to find ways to check off that reading, check off that learning, exploring, and creating. It's also a really great way for us to bring people into the library throughout the summer, to get them excited about coming here, about learning about what the library does, about getting their library card renewed and checking things out. And so we do that by bringing in a lot of really great presenters and performers. Like I said, taiko drumming and OMSI. This year we've got Wolfhaven coming in and talking about their refuge and what they're doing. We have oodles and oodles of other people. What's great is, although we've moved a lot of our things back to in-library, we do still have a few events that are happening online, both as a pre-recorded on YouTube and a live on Zoom this summer, because we did get some great feedback from patrons that they appreciated that flexibility for when they couldn't come in to still be able to engage with that. We also have some great hands-on activities though, so kids can really explore their creativity with stamp making, or they can, learn something new with catapults, or they can again see if they can beat our adult volunteers with the escape room. So in addition to those kind of little bit more staff intensive programs, we also put together quite a few passive activities this year, again, as a way to encourage folks to kind of come back and check things out. It's also a little bit of a less of an ask on our staff to be able to have these available. So our committee put these together, everything from summer trivia and would you rather, some really great coloring sheets and scavenger hunts. And if you look again, yeah. We also have even some spot the difference posters that our libraries will be able to have up. So some really great things that are available as more of a drop-in, a little bit less scheduled. And then we went and made some kind of fun cryptid summer at your library themed stickers as kind of incentives, again, to encourage folks to come back, to talk to us, to continue working through the challenge and through those summer goals all summer long, I should say. And then that final piece is that summer outreach. So as I said, last year we were able to reach about 2,200 folks through targeted outreach. And that's the kind of outreach we might be prioritizing a little bit more that would reach some of those kids that aren't able to come into us. So it's going to be maybe some of those folks that are serving, low-income families that might be doing summer school or struggling academically. And then it's also working with some families that just might not be aware of or using the libraries. And so those are ones that we prioritize. It doesn't mean, though, that we kind of skip out on a lot of other things. Last year, we also participated in a number of amazing community celebrations, farmers markets, all sorts of other things that helped us reach, I think, over 10,000 more individuals through just like that really great fun participation throughout the summer, getting new library cards, talking about services to folks that maybe hadn't come to the library in a while. So that's kind of what we've got coming up. It all starts officially on June 15th, but you'll probably start to see a lot of it roll out sooner. I say that because my office is overrun by it and we got to start getting it out to the branches soon. So yeah, I appreciate you letting me share and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any issues or way to target those children that are children of both parents at work and are left at home for, a couple hours, 3-4 hours, sometimes a day?
Yeah, that one in particular, it is a tricky one. A lot of what we do with our outreach is really helping to work with some partners that might be reaching those folks. It is tricky if it's maybe a kiddo who doesn't work with one of those. So it definitely is always something we're looking to expand on. We do some work with in different areas with maybe some of the parks and recs that help provide some free or greatly reduced, care for maybe some of the kiddos that aren't quite ready to be left at home but have a similar setup. We try and encourage our staff to host things whenever they can after traditional work hours. So if, maybe somebody is able to come in on, a Saturday or in an evening to be able to do some of the stuff then, but we're always looking for ways to, greater ways to reach, I think, some of those kids that maybe are just at that perfect age where they're not yet engaged with community or they're not needing childcare anymore, but they're just kind of at home on their own. We do quite a bit of work at this time of year with the schools directly, to really get kids engaged and hyped up before school is out. And so that's one of those ways that we might be able to get some of that information to kids, get some of the activity books and that kind of thing. But then we're always looking for additional ways because it's absolutely probably one of the audiences that's the hardest to reach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was wondering, my family and many families I know, we love escape rooms. Where can teens go to participate in the library rooms? Are they at all the branches or?
Oh, off the top of my head, I don't know that they're in all, they'll definitely be here because I was just training one of the staff members this morning on it. They'll be in 8 of our libraries this summer. And so all of our summer reading and summer learning information, we have a website that we kind of compiled everything. And so that one is one where we will have all of the events, including the escape room listed
Okay,
there. And so
great.
I know it's happening at many of them.
What's an escape room?
An escape room, it is a kind of puzzle game that got really popular, I'd say maybe 5, 6 years ago, where you're put in a room with a bunch of things that don't necessarily make sense off the top of your head, and you have to put them together to kind of unlock locks and discover clues, and there are a whole bunch of puzzles to traditionally escape the room. I should say I've actually been using it as a little bit of the wrong language. In this case, they're trying to break into the treasure chest to rescue the treasure before, the Kraken gobbles them up. But
That's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Do you do like a game night or anything like that where they come in and can participate in different board games that maybe they don't usually see or have never played before?
I know a few of our libraries do. That isn't one of the ones that we've put together as a traveling program this year. Each year we've been putting together 4 to 5 specific ones, but I believe the Vancouver Library does have a board game like that. And I think, oh my goodness, there's at least one other that does. And throughout the summer, a lot of our branches, in addition to the committee planned events, do a lot of their own kind of special teen nights or tween nights and often have opportunities for that too. Yeah.
And, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now we'll move on to Facilities and Finance Committee, Port of Ridgefield Tax Increment Area Resolution.
So in your packet is the actual resolution from the Port of Ridgefield that they asked to be shared with you. We talked about this several months ago when they were proposing the tax increment financing area, and they held public meetings and it was approved by their board to move forward. The impact on our district is approximately $2.7 million of growth, of lost revenue growth over 25 years. Those are estimates. Obviously, as we move forward, we'll understand the actual implications. Just a reminder that while we are a junior taxing district, we have no authority to opt in or out of tax increment finance areas. So while it's great to have this information and to track it, it's still a fairly new law that was implemented in 2021 in Washington State. And this takes us to, in our service area, 3 tax increment financing areas: the Port of Vancouver, the City of Ridgefield, and now the Port of Ridgefield, with several possibilities out there in our service area. So we'll continue to track on this particular topic and the impact to our district and the capturing of those growth dollars over time. So that's just a piece of information, nothing to act on, but certainly I'll answer any questions that you might have about this.
I don't see any questions here. Thank you so much. The Fort Vancouver Regional Library District Board of Trustees will now meet in executive session to discuss litigation and collective bargaining as allowed by RCW 4230-110 and 4230-410. The Board of Trustees will be in executive session for 30 minutes or until 7:25 p.m. The Board of Trustees is expected to take further action following the executive session. So we're going to stay in here and ask all of you if you wouldn't mind stepping outside or into the lobby, and then feel free to come back at whenever we're finished. So 7:25. If we have to extend, I'll come and announce it. Thank you.
In Vikram, we're moving over to the other link for this virtual meeting.
Yeah, I will join in there.
Okay.
Can those of you online hear me? After I call this regular meeting back to order? Can those online hear me? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-4 WPEA CBA ratification as presented?
So moved. Seconded.
Is there any further discussion? I move this to a roll call vote.
Vikram Katwani,
Vikram, are you on?
He's not back on yet.
Okay,
If you
We
could
can-
wait just a minute
yeah, we can give him a minute.
and go with the other people first and come back to him. I think he just joined. So you
Vikram
might want
Katwani.
to say what you're doing because he missed, obviously.
Hello.
Vikram, can you hear us?
Yes.
Great. So there has been a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-4 WPEA CBA ratification, and we're just beginning the roll call vote.
Sure.
Vikram Katwani,
Aye.
Murray Coffey,
Aye.
Benny Love Hensley,
Aye.
Mary Ann Duncan Cole,
Aye.
Mary Williams,
Aye.
Christy Morgan.
Aye. The motion passes. I'll start off board comments tonight, by just saying the Love Your Library event was awesome. I was really impressed by the hard work you guys put in to put on such a lavish event. So thank you for that. And thank you for hosting us today. This has been, I love this library. So thank you so much. Are there any other board comments?
I particularly enjoyed the operational report. Each individual branch of the library has different and unique community for them. And I like to see the way the programming is for the particular group at that particular branch. It's not just the same thing for everybody because the needs are totally different. So I'm really appreciating that. Thank you.
I appreciated your flip on the bookmobile because no other branch has the experience like that. Appreciate more information on it. So thank you.
All right, the setting for the next regular meeting is Monday, June 17th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at Goldendale Community Library and virtually on Zoom. Is there a motion to adjourn the May 20th, 2024 meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any objections? Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned. Thank you all for coming.